Aloha. Good evening. This is Aloha live out of Flagstaff, Arizona, with Spiritual Image Productions on YouTube Live. Um, right now, we're doing. I'm changing things up a little bit because it just seems like the stuff that I was doing prior to this was a bit much. So instead of doing one broadcast, one long, lengthy broadcast, I'm just doing one broadcast, or two broadcasts. The other one is called Andrew Aloha Live, where I'm doing current affair event updates, and this broadcast is called um, Andrew Aloha's movie reviews. And I even misspoke that. So anyhow, and the thing that's different about what I'm doing right now is that there's a couple of things. First of all, I'm splitting this broadcast up, so that it's not as lengthy. But for this particular movie review, I'm also I'm also putting together. I've already started put together a list of movies that are 2 thumbs up, and then a list of movies that are 1.5, thumbs up. So that way you can go through and just check you know that the movies that I've selected for that particular um, list are all 2 thumbs up movies, and if you can just browse through, and if you like something, then you can just pick it and go to Amazon.com or Netflix or Redbox or maybe Voodoo. I don't know, all the different places, and I think even YouTube now is doing is renting movies as well. So you possibly even find it on YouTube. So either way, I'm making it easy for you to find a movie to check out. Uh, you can be at home, and you just want to find a movie, and you don't want to have to spend an hour just to check out all the different movies, just see if you like it or not. All you do is just go to the list, and more than likely, guaranteed 100%, unless you have different taste buds than I do, um, the movie should be good. If it's a 2 thumbs up movie, or you can, and if you're not, if you watched all the 2 thumbs up movies, then you can go to the 1.5 thumb up movies, right? Whatever, right? And I don't know. I've done these broadcasts for, I don't know, a good year and a half. I don't even know, but and I don't know if then I'm going to go back and fix and add all those lists as well. I guess maybe if I got time, I'll just go add a little bit at a time, and then eventually I'll get all of them. But right now, I'm just going with the flow, right? It's like that. So anyhow, the first movie that I want to start out with is called The Way I See It. It's actually a documentary with a guy by the name of Pete Souza, who is a photographer, and it was, it was interesting for me because I've been a photographer and a videographer in the past, and I relate to a lot of the stuff that he's that are involved in the documentary. So it's like that, and it's he just, he's very passionate about um, photography, and the fact that he got to be a photographer for the Obama administration and also the Reagan administration is huge, because he's gotten photographs that no one in the world, not even for a second, has gotten. So that's amazing. And he talks about, just capturing that one shot, waiting for it and stuff. And that was the same thing with me when I used to do photography. I go to football games, all kinds of spiritual events and stuff, and photograph stuff. And I don't know if he's gotten the same kind of of let me see. I don't know. I don't know if he did photography in the same way that I did, because I did it on a more or less a spiritual level. I'd get guidance. Sometimes a photographer, I would be at a football game or something like that, and my guidance would say, save two photographs for the very end. And I think, okay, and I would wait for, I'd leave two last photographs at the very end, because at the time I didn't do digital photography. This was the old school stuff, the negatives and stuff, which take actually better pictures than the digital. If you check it out, if you've ever worked with that before. But anyhow, I'd wait for till the end of the football game or whatever, and then sure enough, there was two shots that were just amazing shots that I knew were perfect for whatever I was doing. And or I would get guidance to take a photograph. My guidance would say, get ready for this photograph, and then all of a sudden something would happen, and boom, I would get the shot. And sometimes I would go, oh, come on, and I would have an argument with my guidance. Oh, forget it. And sure enough, I would miss the shot. Oh man, and I'd kick myself in the butt because I just wasn't listening right. So it's like that. So anyhow, I can relate to this guy. This is an amazing documentary. I put a link where you can go and watch it. You have I don't know how much you have to pay for it, $8, $10, whatever, but you can go and watch it. I believe online. I think they're showing that documentary in the movie theaters. I'm not sure that they're showing them in online yet, or showing that online yet. But I got to screen it with a company. I can't remember. I'm a member. I think I'm a member of the Phoenix Film Festival group, and they turned me on to another company that screens movies, Go Surfing or something. I can't remember what it's called. But anyhow, um, so I watched it through that, and wow, that was a treat for me to watch that. So I gave it a two thumbs up. There were some amazing photographs, some amazing activity, and sides of Barack Obama that you never knew existed. It was just a really well done, awesome documentary, and I was really intrigued, and really enjoyed that documentary. So if you want to watch a good photography documentary, that would be the one to watch. Now the next movie I want to review, and these are all two thumb up movies for now, that I'll be talking about for the next, I don't know, 10, 11, 12 movies or whatever. But the next movie that I want to talk about is The Real Story of Paris Hilton. Now, this was interesting because, and I don't know, maybe the other companies, big name companies, refused to air her documentary, but they're idiots, because if you go to one of the trailers, it's got over 53 million hits for that trailer. They're idiots. So you know, to each his own. But so anyhow, I believe what happened was YouTube got the rights to air it on YouTube, and I don't know how many hits it's got right now. Here, let me tell you right now. Yeah. Oh no, that's the trailer. I don't know how many hits the actual movie itself has. Oh, here we go. 10 million hits in 1 week. That documentary has got over 10 million hits. So the movie industry are idiots, because they could have made some money on this documentary. But that's besides the point. And maybe it's better this way, because a lot of people really should watch this documentary. This Paris Hilton was very vulnerable, and this was a very raw documentary of her growing up. And the big thing was that she was literally physically abused, and I don't know how these people got away with literally slapping her and stuff. I believe that's what they showed that in the documentary. and then they sent her to another school called Provo Canyon School, I believe it's called. I think it was in Utah, but either way, she she went through a lot of abuse, and you know, she wasn't the nicest person in the world either. From what I seen is she was a she was a little rebel, but she's also a starseed, which is probably something that she may not even understand or know, and maybe a lot of other people don't understand or know. But she comes from a different realm. She's not from this planet. This probably not from this galaxy either. She might be from Pleiades or um, I can't remember the other one, but Sirius or whatever. But and that's probably why she's having a hard time getting married, finding someone that's just right for her to get married to, because she's not meant to stick around. I'm almost 100% sure. Once she passes on, once she dies, she's going to move on to some other planet, some other galaxy, and be reborn, reincarnated somewhere else, where she'll be doing other stuff and whatever else. But I think it was very brave and a really good idea for her to come out with this documentary, because I think it will help a lot of younger women, especially younger women that are going through similar or same stuff, and it will show them that they too can break out of this kind of crap that's going on. And you know, you got to wonder, you know, this epidemic is going on, this pandemic is going on, and do you really want your parents going back to school? I mean, your kids going back to school? You know, with all this bullshit going on, with this abusive stuff going on, maybe it's better for kids to be homeschooled anyhow. I don't know. So it you know, it goes it there's pros and cons, and whether it's a better idea to get kids homeschooled or not is a whole different story. But then again, people, we're going to start living in space pretty soon. Like whole families are going to be living in space pretty soon. I don't know, within the next few years. It's hard to say when, but kids are going to be up there, and they're not just going to be able to go to school wherever they want. They're going to be homeschooled right there in the space station, or Mars, or wherever they go. Whatever that's going to happen. So it's going to be interesting to see how that's going to turn out. Um, Now the next movie I want, and I knew this was going to be a good movie. I really liked it. A movie called High Note, um, with Dakota Johnson, Tracy Ellis Ross, Kelvin Harrison Jr., Ice Cube, June, Diane Raphael, and all these documentaries in this movie came out this year, and the next one, Love Guaranteed, came out this year as well. So finally, they're coming out with some movies and stuff that are worthwhile watching. You know, for weeks, months, I don't know how long, they've been coming out with crap. You know, with shit that it's just people wanting to make money. You know, greed talking. That's all it is. Greed talking. People just want to make money. By me, but that's besides the point. Um, Anyhow, so this movie, High Note, with Dakota Johnson is, you know, and this was actually a good movie for her to do. And I'm not 100%, but it seemed like she was pretty musically inclined. I didn't really think about that, but I think this shows some of her inclination as a musician, and I think this was really well rounded, a nice movie. Maybe it could even be nominated for Academy Award. I don't know, but she was an assistant to Tracy um, Tracy Ellis Ross, and Tracy Ellis Ross is like this famous musician, singer, like Diana Ross or something like that. And so Dakota Johnson is her assistant, and she's been her assistant for several years, and she's got there's another guy. Oh, Ice Cube. Um, what's her name? Oh man, blah, 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 blah. Tracy Ellis Ross grew up with Ice Cube. You know, their characters grew up with each other in the movie, and so he's her manager, and so but Dakota Johnson spends a lot more time with her music and really has gotten to know the I just want to call her what's her name, Diana. I just want to call her Diana Ross, right? Diana Ross. She knows more about Diana Ross than Ice Cube does. So and again, this it's not. I don't. I'm pretty sure they're not. That's not Diana Ross in the movie, but she sure seems a lot like Diana Ross. But anyhow, that character does. But so anyhow, and this Ellis person, Tracy person, is getting old. She's cut some albums, and she hasn't cut an album in 10 years or whatever. And Dakota Johnson's going, well, you need to cut another album. That's all it's to it. It's something fresh, or something new, something vibrant that grabs the audience. And but Tracy Ellis Ross is afraid. Because she's getting old and she doesn't know whether the fans will like her or not, will appreciate her or really accept or even accept her new music. So anyhow, towards the end, what's her name? Dakota Johnson runs into this guy, and he's like a really good musician. Right? He's got really good stuff, right? And so come to find out that he's Tracy Ellis Ross's son, right? And she never told anybody, and somehow they get connected. And so anyhow, Dakota Johnson connects him with Tracy Ellis, the mom, and they do at the end they do a concert together, and so they live happily ever after. Whatever. Okay, fine. So it was a really fun movie to watch, just enjoyable. Um, and especially if you're a musician, you probably will like it for sure. Let me see. Next time out. Oh, Love Guaranteed. Um, oh my God, why can't I remember this movie? All right, time out. Who's in it? It came out again last year. Oh, Rachel Laycock, Damon Wayans Jr., Heather Graham, Caitlin Howden, and Lisa DeRupt. So anyhow, um, this movie came out this year, and this is actually a really good modern day movie that's keeping up with the times because this guy comes into this to what's his name, um, Damon Wayans Jr. Comes into Rachel Leigh Cook's office. She's a lawyer, right? And he goes, "I want to sue uh, what the what's it called? What's it called? I want to sue Love Guaranteed, which is a company that has um, a dating. It's a dating site, right? So and on the dating site it says if you go out with 1,000 people or more, then we'll give you your money back or something like that. I don't know what, but anyhow he does. He's gone out with 995 people, 94 people or whatever, 98 people, and he's only got a few more, and then he wants to sue them for his money back and whatever else. So naturally, Rachel Leigh Cook has to be become a member of the site so she can check it out for herself personally, so she can figure out how to um sue these people. And so she ends up going out with Damon. So anyhow, they keep bantering back and forth, and finally they end up together at the end, and they lose the lawsuit, but the the head of the company, Heather Graham, says, "Well, why don't we just make you guys the couple of the website, the official couple of the website, and we'll give you, I don't remember, $100,000 or whatever to be our spokespeople." And they go, "No, we want 500,000." You go, okay. So that's kind of how it ends. But it was a fun movie to watch, interesting movie, and with the technology and the internet, the way everything's going, is a way. It was definitely an up to date movie to watch. Um, Bumblebee, the next movie. Now, I've already reviewed this movie several times. You know, you gotta love the special effects. That's the biggest thing about the Transformers movies. That there's the special effects are amazing, out of this world. And I don't think there's any movie out there that's like it, like any of those movies. The special effects on in the Transformers are just awesome. So anyhow, with it came out. This movie came out in it's the latest Transformer movie, 2018, with Haley Steinfeld, John Cena, Dylan O'Brien, Peter Cullen, George Lindenberg Jr., Angela Bassett, John Ortiz, Pamela Adlon, Steven Schneider, and Jason Drucker. So at the very beginning, they're having this big battle on this man-made or maybe Autobot-made planet, I guess. And what's the Primus says to Bumblebee, "Get out of here! Go! I want you to go to Earth and save us and keep it safe and just wait for us there, so that we can regroup and go from there." So he takes off and Bumblebee gets to Earth, and immediately he gets into the fight with the military, right? The U.S. military, and then these two other um, uh, what do I want to call them? Evil Autobots come to Earth and follow him there, and they start they go and look for him. They finally find him, and they get into this battle, and all this stuff happens, and Bumblebee and Haley Steinfeld end up saving the day because they stop them from transmitting this message that's supposed to be uh, call forward all their people to destroy the planet, and so they can have the war there on Earth. But Bumblebee and Haley Steinfeld save the day. Okay, fine. So anyhow, next, The Mummy. Oh man, that was intense too. Both of these movies were pretty intense. 2017, with Tom Cruise, Annabelle Wallace, Sophia Botella, Russell Crowe, and Jake Johnson. Wow, that was a definitely a paranormal movie with all this witchcraft and I don't know voodoo, whatever. This princess, this Egyptian princess, I believe, um, is gonna take over the world, and she's gonna bring down evilness, and she's gonna kill this her partner, her lover, so that she can do it. But she gets stopped right at the last second, and so years later, the this spell, this evilness is still locked up in this mummy, um, and so they find it, and man, they had these huge statues. I can't remember what they're called, but they have a name for them, and they literally have some of those statues out in, I believe, Africa and Brazil. I can't remember all the different places, but but anyhow, they find these statues in this whole I can't remember Egypt or wherever they're at, and so they find this mummy casket. So they're transporting it to I think the United States so they can study it and all this stuff. So right in the middle of flight, man, they all these birds go and just completely tear up the plane. I think it's a C-140 or whatever. But anyhow, so the plane crashes and and this the evil evil goddess, if I guess if you want to call her that, um, that she ends up getting loose, and they bring her back to life. She gets brought back to life, and she starts doing all this stuff. And of course, Tom Cruise, Mister Hot Stuff himself, ends up getting the the job to be her assistant, her next lover, or whatever. And so he ends up getting spellbound, and so they go through all this mirage stuff, and he ends up killing her, I believe, at the very end. But he's also um, ends up being cursed still. The curse still stays with him at the very end. So to set up the notion for another movie of um, um, what you call it, uh, a repeat movie, or anyhow, a mummy, a mummy number two or whatever. So I don't, and that was a few years ago. What was it, 2007, 3 years ago? They could come out with another movie, a mummy movie. Who knows? We'll see. So anyhow, very intense movie. Um, 2011, Moneyball with Brad Pitt, Jonah Hill, Philip Seymour, uh, Chris Pratt, Robin Wright, and Stephen Bishop. If you like baseball, if you like sports, especially sports and baseball, that was based on a true events story about the Oakland A's, and basically Brad Pitt is managing the Oakland A's. I can't remember what his coach name was, but his character's name was. But anyhow, this coach, he's managing the A's, and at the very beginning they lose the World Series, right? So he goes and talks to I think it was the Indians or something. I can't remember who, some other team, and that's where he runs into Jonah Hill. And this is actually a good part for both of these guys. Um, they it was just it made, when you have good actors, um, seasoned actors in a movie, it makes all the difference in the world. But anyhow, so he runs into Jonah Hill, and Jonah he's like an economics major from Yale or wherever, and he said he goes up to, or Brad Pitt goes up to Jonah Hill. Is this your I can't remember. He says something like have is this your first job or something like that? And he goes well, no, he goes something like, you know do you work here, or is this your job here? He goes, this is my only job I've ever had. So anyhow, this is Jonah Hill's friend. But anyhow, Jonah Hill has some guy by the name of James somebody, who was a farmer, or I can't remember what. But he didn't even play baseball, but he wrote this book on theory about winning, how to win a game, baseball game, using computer analytics, right? So um, Jonah Hill tells Brad Pitt about this coach about this. His character tells his coach about this, and he goes, "Well, you think we can win or something like that?" He says, "Yeah." So he goes, "Okay." So, and the thing is that the Oakland A's had a really low budget to use. That, like $40 million versus $120 million or whatever, the Yankees had or whatever to work with. So they start to get they he hires Jonah Hill. He steals him from the Indians or somehow or another, and he starts working for Brad Pitt, for that coach, and then they start putting together the team, and they go back and forth, and finally they get the team together, and they start winning left and right, and in the very last game they still lose the very last game again. But and then who was in the Boston Red Sox turn around and offer this coach, $120 million to go and coach for them, but he says no, I'm sticking with the A's. And he's got his family back in Oakland, and because he's got and the daughter, she I can't remember what her name is, but she was a really good singer. I don't know how she's doing now with her singing, but she had some really good music skills. Um, Let me see. Moneyball. I don't know what that girl's name was, but she was really good. So anyhow, I'm assuming that she's doing well in the entertainment industry. But you know, so he turns down the job from the Red Sox and stays there. And I think it was next year the Red Sox ended up winning. So, but I'm assuming that he's happy where he's at, and I think that's the moral of the story. If you're happy, why change it? Why beat around the bush? Just if it works, don't fix it, right? Puncture. Now this was a really interesting movie. Again, it was another true event movie based on true events. Came out in 2011. Moneyball came out in 2011 as well. Chris Evans, Mark Casson, Marshall Bell, Brett Cullen, and Vanessa Shaw. Um, it was that was it was this lawyer, these two lawyers. They didn't have a lot of money, and so they but they made somehow made a discovery. So I think some woman, some nurse, came to them, and she says, I'm I got AIDS or whatever. She's sick because she got punctured by a needle on accident, and that's causing her to go. I think she eventually died towards the end of the movie, but the thing was that there was this other guy. They came out with a needle that was very had a safety feature on it, so that wouldn't happen. And so none of the hospitals were using it because of politics, because of greed, because of money. They're bullshit, right? So so they go start investigating this, and it's costing them an arm and a leg to handle the case, which they don't have a lot of money. I think they sell their house or whatever. I don't remember all the stuff they did. And then finally and eventually they got connected with one of the senators. I can't remember which one, some female, and she ended up stabbing him in the back too, I think. And this in the meantime, this other company, um they I think it was a lawyer, a legal company that they were fighting against, and they go, well, we'll see you in court. They go and they meet and they talk about this and that, and then they they don't they aren't able to settle on any middle ground. So they say, well, screw you, we'll see you in court. In the meantime, that's costing them. That they're having a hard time because they don't have enough money to do all this legal stuff. But in the end, and now the thing is that this guy, Chris Evans, who's the main character, who wants to really fight this, um, he 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 does a lot of drugs, and it's funny because at the beginning he practices his spiel, right, his presentation on his friends. There's like 5, 10, whatever friends there, and he starts to do his presentation on them, and they're going, yeah, yeah, and they're agreeing with him or whatever. So it's funny, but he this character, Chris Evans' character, is a real drug addict. Does a lot of cocaine or whatever. I don't know if he's doing meth or whatever, but towards the end he ends up killing himself over. Oh, well, actually, that may not be true because towards the end, somebody was following him, this character, and it was from the other company, assumably, and it's not determined or not said whether they killed him or whether he committed suicide. I don't know, or maybe both. Who knows? But at the very end, he ends up dying, and so they end up going to court and they end up winning, and I don't know how many millions of dollars they won, but and even today I was interesting because I went to the VA hospital to get my blood drawn, right, um, and the I talked to them about this, and I don't even know that these needles are being used still. I mean, they may be used still in other hospitals, but I don't know that they're being used everywhere. So, and they probably should be used everywhere because again, there's a safety feature so that nobody can be poked on accident from these needles. So it's beyond me. And I don't know what this was back in 2002. I want to say 2003, whatever, when all this stuff was occurring, and still what 15, 16, 17 years later, they're still not using that needle, and because it's a huge factor in helping to prevent people from dying from getting punctured on accident or whatever. So anyhow, the next movie, again, this is a 2 thumbs up movie. She's Out of My League. Oh my God, this movie, I really like this movie. It came out in 2008. Jay Baruchel, Alice Eve, T.J. Miller, Christian Ritter, Mike Vogel, Nate Torrance, and Lindsay Sloan. Um, so Jay Baruchel, they work. Him and his buddies work at TWA or TSA, I guess, for TSA, and their security for TSA or whatever. And Jay is having problems with his girlfriend, and the girlfriend is his girlfriend is was, I guess, at the very beginning, they broke up or something. um I think Lindsay Sloan was the girlfriend at the time. So anyhow, they end up breaking up, and he's going, "No, we need to get back together now because we've had enough time out. Like, they've been broken up for 2 years, and he still wants to get back together." So anyhow, in comes Alice Eve, and she changes the whole program at the very beginning. She forgets her phone there at the security check, and she's already on the plane. She goes, well, just she calls it, and she says, well, just and of course Jay answers the phone. Well, she says, well, just save the phone for me, and when I'll get it when I get back. I'll be back in a couple of days or whatever. So so he does. And she goes, we're having a big party at so and so museum or whatever, and you can just drop it off, bring it by there, and meet me there. So he goes, okay. So they do. Him and Jay and one of his buddies goes in and delivers the phone, and they're she goes, well, just hang out, grab some food, grab some wine or champagne or whatever. So they hang out for a little bit, and somehow Jay and his buddy end up getting kicked out because they have some kind of uh, um, I don't know, beef with the owner of the place or whatever. So they get kicked out, and so anyhow, she goes, well, let me make it up to you. She goes, well, do you like hockey games? He goes, oh yeah. So she sets them up with some tickets for a hockey game in town, and another one of Jay's buddies comes with him, and the buddy thinks that um that Alice Eve's character wants to hook up with him, and then she brings her friend, what's her name, Ritter, Christian Ritter, come, it's like a double date, but without saying anything, right? So anyhow, and so Jay's supposed to hook up with Christian, and that's when Christian tells Jay, yeah, well, no, Alice's character is definitely into you. So anyhow, they end up hooking up and doing all this dating, all this stuff, and oh man, there's some really funny stuff in there. And towards the end, they end up breaking up because Jay doesn't think that he's good enough for Alice's character, right? So she's going, well, my last boyfriend thought the same way, so get out of here. So he leaves, and she's all upset about that. So anyhow, they end up getting back together at the very end, and they live happily ever after, right? So anyhow, that's just a movie that's just a fun movie to watch. It's just so funny. It's hilarious. um Catch and Release with let me see, came out 2007. Jennifer Garner, Timothy Oliphant, Sam Jaeger, Kevin Smith, Juliette Lewis, Fiona Shaw. So Jennifer, well, and this came out in 2007. At the very beginning, the Jennifer's boyfriend, fiance, I think, ends up getting killed or dying somehow or whatever. So anyhow, and they have all these guys that live together, like 3 or 4 guys live together, and so she goes and stays with them, and one, I think, her fiance's best friend ends up shacking with shagging one of the girls at the funeral, right, in the bathroom, and meantime Jennifer Garner is in the tub hiding because she's so upset, right, about the whole situation. And so anyhow she catches them. Well, she doesn't have to catch them; they're already there, right? So she ends up they end up talking stuff through, and eventually come to find out that supposedly the fiance had had a kid from another woman while they were involved with each other, while Jennifer Garner and the fiance were involved with each other. So, supposedly he went to California and got and hooked up with some other with Juliette Lewis, and then supposedly the she ended up getting pregnant with his kid. Well, come to find out at the end that it was a bunch of shit, and they had a DNA test and disproved all that. And so, anyhow, at the very end, Jennifer Garner ends up going on a road trip, and Juliette Lewis character moves in with the guys because they two or three of the other guys moved out. And so anyhow, very interesting, melodramatic movie, but it was very interesting. It was fun to watch. Man of the Year. Oh my God! Now this is now it's interesting that this movie. Let me see what time it 2009. It came out. I mean 2000. This movie came out in 2006, and yet this movie is much more relevant now than it was probably in 2006. I'll bet you, because um, let me see, Robin Williams, Christopher Walken, Laura Linney, Jeff Goldblum, Tina Fey, Amy Poehler, Faith Daniels, and Louis Black are all in this movie. You know, it's an all-star cast, and at the beginning, Robin Williams, he's a comedian. He has his own show, right? And then somebody in the audience goes, "Well, you should run for president." So he goes, "Okay." So he runs for president, and so they go through all this rigmarole, and they go to this debate. He ends up in this debate with these two other politicians, of Democrat and a Republican, and, and it's funny because he just goes off, right? You guys are bullshitting this, and you guys are full of this, and you guys are lying about this. Blah. I mean, he just goes off, blah 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 blah, right? So anyhow, in the meantime, Laura Linney works for the polling company, the company that handles the cast, the votes, right? And she figures out that the company, there's a glitch, and whether it's a purposeful glitch or not, it's undetermined. But she figures out that there's a glitch, and she reports it to the management, but they don't do anything about it. So anyhow, Robin Williams ends up winning the election, right? So anyhow, Laura Linney, she goes to him and tells Robin Williams about the whole situation, and saying that it's a fraud, you know, it's a line of shit. And she goes, "Well, I just had to tell you, and whatever you do with that information is up to you." Now, this is the interesting point. If this was same situation was occurring, and either Trump or Biden were in his seat, in his chair, in his hotspot, if either of those guys, were in the hotspot, and they were involved in that same situation, would they tell the truth and tell the public and say, "Hey, I really didn't win"? You know what my answer is? I don't think so. That's my personal viewpoint. I don't think they would be that honest that they would tell the public, say, I really didn't win. And maybe that's already happened. I don't know. That's undetermined. But there's a possibility that's already happened with Trump. I don't know. That's besides the point. So anyhow, at the very end, Robin Williams tells the public, and so they do end up doing a re-election, and the Republican president that was already the president ends up winning again. So very interesting movie. The next movie I want to talk about is Hitch. Oh my God, this is like the second time I watched this movie. I've already watched this once. With it came out in 2005 with Will Smith, Eva Mendes, Kevin James, Amber Valletta, Julie Ann Emery, Tom Cruise, Renee Zellweger, Michael Rappaport. Um, every college guy that's straight up, and maybe gay people too. I don't know, gay guys too. Um, should watch this movie if they want to get a taste of what it's like to um, maybe deal with a woman in a good, healthy way. Probably that's probably a good a movie to watch. It because Hitch, who's of course um, Will Smith, he teaches guys how to behave with them, but how to get them back sometimes depending on what's going on. They break up with their girlfriend, and so he goes and helps them get them back. But he also teaches them how to treat them in a good, healthy way. So anyhow, he ends up in his own relationship with Eva Mendes, and there's all kinds of stuff that happens in that relationship. And so anyhow, he at the very beginning he starts he's working with Kevin James, yeah, Kevin James, and Kevin James wants to um, hook up with this entrepreneur, this woman that's well-to-do, with what's her name, Amber Valletta, I believe is her name. He wants to hook up with Amber Valletta, and he doesn't know how. He's part of a whole group of guys that are consultants for her because she's really wealthy, and but he just has a hot for her, and he just wants to hook up with her. So Will Smith shows up, and there's some really funny stuff about all that. But anyhow, he eventually ends up getting hooked up with Amber Valletta, and then Will Smith, after all the crap, all the shit he goes through with Eva Mendes, which is not, she's not trying to be mean with her. It's just one of those Murphy's Law things that's going on. So he finally ends up hooking up with her at the very end. Funny movie. Oh my God, hilarious. Um, and then the final two thumbs up movie that I want to talk about is a School of Rock with Jack Black, Joan Cusack, Mike White, and the School of Rock band. Right, comes out in 2003. Now this was actually a good movie with Jack Black. That guy's I believe, I don't think he was faking that stuff. His music talents are pretty amazing, pretty and so anyhow, this is a really good a really good movie to watch with the kids, right? If you've got a family, some kids, some teenager, maybe they're struggling with life in general. This is a really good movie to watch for the kids. Jack Black just takes over this classroom of kids. I don't know, they're fifth graders, fourth graders, or something like that. Anyhow, he ends up teaching them how to be a band, right? That's all he knows, right? So anyhow, he works with them, and at the very end, they put on this show that's wow, pretty awesome, and the parents all end up being at the show, and so it's pretty amazing. So anyhow, the rest of the movies are one thumb up movies. The Call of the Wild, with it came out this year with Harrison Ford, uh, Buck Terry Notary, Omar Sy, Cara G, and Karen Gillian. I didn't even realize that she was in the movie. But anyhow, um, this was an animation movie, um, and it was really well done. Except there was some stuff that was kind of cheesy. Now, if you got a big screen um, monitor, oh my God, this is a movie that you want to watch on the big screen. The backgrounds, the terrain, the views, the scenery, it's just amazing, really awesome scenery. So but anyhow, and one of the things about the dog. There's this big dog. His name's Buck, right? And this kind of reminds me of that movie. I can't remember with there's a couple of dog movies that come out in the last few years and about reincarnation, the reincarnation of this dog or whatever. I can't remember what it. But anyhow, it reminds me of that movie. But this big dog Buck, right? He goes through all these different socio uh, um, just communities, I guess. He starts out in a wealthy community, and then ends up with these people that what do you think? What do you call it? They're sludging for gold or whatever, and then somehow he ends up being a post office dog. He carries the mail from place to place for the with all these other dogs, and then he ends up with Harrison Ford right towards the end, and Harrison Ford goes, "Well, come on, let's go do a trek," and so they take off into the wilderness, and they find a cabin, so they hang out there until the rest of their days, for Harrison Ford's rest of his days anyhow. But anyhow, and that's where the Buck finds a family. I don't know if it's his family or not, but he hooks up with these wolves, and he ends up finding his family there with them. And meantime, Harrison Ford gets killed because of this other asshole who's chasing him, and I don't know, because he's jealous and all this other stuff. So they both end up getting killed. And now the thing was that, um, Harrison Ford dies there at the end in front of this cabin, and in the meantime, Buck goes and takes off with his family, the Wolf family, and then he comes back, and every once a year or whatever. But where's his body? What happened to his body? And then if you look at the animation with the dog, it was almost real, but not real enough. I just wasn't buying it because when you have a dog, any dog that's really lovable and really cute and just really fluffy or whatever, you know, they go up and lick your face back. That's what dogs do, right? They just lick your face, lick your feet, lick your arms, your hands, fingers. And not once did this Buck dog ever lick Harrison Ford or anybody else for that matter. I don't think. So So anyhow, but it was a fun movie to watch. It was very interesting, and like I said, the scenery, wow, was amazing. Irresistible. Now this just came out this year. Again, this movie and Call of the Wild, I rated a 1.5 thumbs up, and the rest of these movies for the next 10 movies or whatever are 1.5 thumbs up. But Irresistible with Steve Carell, Rose Byrne, Chris Cooper, Topher Grace, and Mackenzie Davis. And this came out this year. If it didn't have these really good trained actors in this movie, it would have been hands down one thumb up movie, and that's it. That would have been the best it would have gotten. Period. It's scattered. Whoever wrote it must have had ADD or something. I don't know. What the hell, right? It's all over the place, and it's not really making sense. But it does give you a broad's eye view of how an election takes place from the election offices or whatever. So it was interesting, and at the very end, supposedly this community, these people set up this whole thing on purpose so that they can bring in these people to come in and do a whole election there in their community and raise all this money for their community because they don't have any money and they don't have any job, blah blah blah. you know there's a lot of bullshit in there, but it kind of gives you an idea in terms of how the election offices operate. So, and then that was the biggest thing to take from that. The Invisible Man. Now this movie came out this year as well, I believe. All these movies came out this year. um Elizabeth Moss, Aldous Hodge, Oliver Jackson Cohen, and Michael Dorman. Um, I was looking forward to watching this movie because I thought, wow, it'll be interesting to see how it's kind of a paranormal or technology movie. It turned out to be a technology movie, but I thought if it would, you know, might be a paranormal movie. But anyhow, um, I wasn't impressed, and I was disappointed. Um, Again, scattered. Just some of the stuff just wasn't making sense, and at the very beginning, Elizabeth Moss is running from the boyfriend because he's got her um, kidnapped. He won't let her go out of the house. Blah blah blah. So finally, she escapes, and he's an inventor. He made this outfit so that he would become invisible. How in the hell that is is working? I have no idea. I didn't buy it. It was a lot of shit. All these opticals, all this costume had all these opticals everywhere that made him invisible. I thought it was just a lot of shit. But anyhow, um, that he goes and he's invisible. He goes chases Elizabeth Moss around, and he ends up killing all these people, all these cops, and she's already got it figured out. So finally, she figures out a way to see him, and she stabs the shit out of him, kills him, and they live happily ever after. Okay, fine, whatever. So anyhow, um, pretty again. If it was any worse, I would have given it a one thumb up. Period. Um, freaks, you're one. Freaks, you're one of us. This was, I believe, a French movie. It had subtitles. Um, it came out this year again as well with Cornelia Groeschel, Frederick Lineman, Finlay Berger, Tim Oliver, Schultz, Nina Kunzendor. Um, I think it's one of those it's one of those um, what you call it superhero movies. These kids grow up with these superpowers, and they try to control them with drugs, right? Medication. They medicate them, and they have to take this medication every day, and it helps to keep them in line and with a normal lifestyle, supposedly. So this guy this figures this out, and he ends up meeting or finding Elizabeth, not Elizabeth Moss, but this woman. What's her name? Cornelia Groeschel, and he tells her, well, stop taking the medication and you'll find your superpower. So there's some other people that same thing. So anyhow, she figures out she's got superpowers. She can kick somebody's ass and at the drop of a dime, right? Whatever. And but they don't really explain why or how they got these superpowers, or is it genetic or is it DNA? Were they zapped by some kind of lightning bolt? How in the hell did you get that superpower? So and if it you can watch it on Netflix, and you can get an English a version out of it. You can hear English, but otherwise it's all subtitles, and I think it's in French or something like that or whatever. So anyhow, if it was subtitled, um and I couldn't even hear it in English, I wouldn't even bother. And probably would have been a one thumb up movie. So I don't know. You can watch it if you want, and if you do, watch it on Netflix because they talk English in that version. So and that would be interesting to do. But again, um, you know, it's kind of paranormal, but it's not incredibly invigorating, right? It's like that. Um, Swipe Club. No, that was interesting. It came out this year, and it relates to a situation that happened years ago. I don't know, 20, 30 years, 20, 25 years ago, I think. Somebody was taking out a penny out of every transaction that was made at some bank, and this is similar to this movie. This guy he ends up finding out that this college, Fort University, has is making over $1 billion or whatever, in revenue, and he figures out, well, if we can just take out one small, a few cents out of every transaction, then we'll have it made. So apparently, the way they're going to do this, they have to go put these little some kind of thing in uh, what's it called? Oh my God, why can't even I think of this? One of these flash drive. They have to put this flash drive in these computer centers, and these computers of these departments, so that they can upload some kind of virus or something, and then start taking money out of it, all their transactions. So anyhow, the same thing with this bank, years ago. Somebody was doing this, taking out I think it was just 1 cent. I don't know how much money they got, but they got a boatload of money, and they got caught. Some little, I think it was some little old lady, you know, they're really really picky, and they're really really frugal with their money, right? So some little old lady, I think, complained and said, I'm missing a cent out of this transaction, and sure enough, they investigated, and they figured out somebody was taking money out of her account, out of her transaction, and then all these other transactions. So I don't know how much money they made, and I think did get caught, but but it was like this with this movie. These kids um, ended up kind of getting caught, because one of the department heads, um, what's his name? What's his name? Hang on a second. Time out. I think Zach Beach, who was the guy that was running the operation, um, and maybe Curtis Wyatt the third, or Barry Biascent, was the department head of this education center, Fort University. He ended up catching on, and he figured it out that these college students were doing this shit. So he brings in the guy, the head cheese that's running the operation, Zach. He says, I want in on this, and he goes, oh, and he tried not to admit it at first, and then he gives in, right? Well, he goes, well, how much do you want of it? He says, all of it. Oh man, that dude got greedy like no tomorrow, right? So anyhow, so they do. They give him all the money, and then they set him up, and they make him be the fall guy, and they ended up giving us a bunch of money to a bunch of. Oh, they give it a lot of that money to students that had really bills, like, high, they owed a lot of money to the school, so they ended up paying all their bills for a lot of the students, and then this department head ended up getting caught and put in jail, being an asshole, right? Um, the Sleepover. Now, this movie, that it's interesting. It's hard to actually find this movie. It came out in 2020 as well. Malin Ackerman, Ken Marino, Joe yeah, no, okay, fine. So Sadie Stanley, Cree, Cichino, um, Maxwell Simpkins, and Lucas J. Um, the come to find out, the parents are like CIA operatives, and they get activated, and they have to do a job, and these people that are wanting them to do the job are not being legal with the whole situation. So anyhow, the kids somehow get involved, and they find out that their parents have been kidnapped, and somehow, and so they go and look for their parents, and all this stuff happens. There's a bunch of funny stuff, and then at the very end, they they're going to steal the crown, some queen's crown worth millions of dollars, so that they can pay off all these debts or whatever, blah blah blah. So the kids end up hooking up with the parents, finding the parents, and they let them. They somehow save their parents, right? And they get the crown and all this other stuff. Blah blah blah. interesting. Yeah, it was a cheesecake movie, but if you have kids, maybe that might be a movie you might want to watch with your kids. Um, what? Oh, the sleep. Okay, Dirty Weekend. Oh yeah, with Matthew Broderick and Alice Eve. It came out 2015. Um, the Matthew and Alice's characters are both workmates, and they work together, and they go on this trip to do, I don't know, some kind of conference or whatever. So they end up getting caught up in some kind of in Chicago. I think it was Chicago. They ended up getting caught up there because of the weather. So come to find out that Matthew Broderick's character had been there years ago, prior to, and ended up having this affair with this other woman. And so Alice Eve figures it out, and they get caught up in so they end up going to this bar where he found this I think it was a hooker or something like that, escort or something. And it come to find out it's a gay bar, right? So anyhow, he sure enough, the woman that he had the affair with shows up, and so he takes off with her, and meantime, Alice Eve's character ends up with some woman, and anyhow, they finally get the next day they end up getting back together, and then they finally get to take off again because the weather is cleared up enough for them to take off. Um, it was just an interesting movie to watch the dynamics of this relationship happening. So very interesting. 2013, The Love Punch. Emma Thompson, Pierce Bronson, Celia Emery, Timothy Spall, and Lois Borgen. The at the very well, Emma Thompson and Pierce Bronson are both exes, right? They were married together and they were divorced, and then somehow Pierce Bronson's company ends up taking a bite, right? Somebody buys him out, and he no longer has a job, but the new company that buys him out um, doesn't pay off the pensions or anything. They just buy out the company, and that's it, and then they're done. So Pierce Bronson's pissed off. Well, we need to go over and get our money back. So I believe this was in France. They go to France. I don't know, for some reason France keeps coming up, but anyhow, I believe they go to France, and they're going to steal this diamond that's worth millions of dollars, right? So that they can pay off the the employees, right? So they do. They go over, and apparently the guy that owns the company that ripped them off, he's engaged to some woman, and they end up invading her space and going into her hotel room and grabbing the diamond. And it comes up, kind of find out she ends up because somehow Emma Thompson and her get together, and they're having some kind of a beach party with the bridesmaids and all this stuff. And so Emma slips in. I'm Aunt so and so, blah blah, a lot of shit. So and she ends up giving her advice, and then she ends up in the hotel room, and she goes, "Oh, I'm blah blah blah. You're here," and she says something like I don't know about this guy, blah blah blah. So anyhow, they end up getting the diamond, and they steal it, and they get away, and in the meantime, the girlfriend covers for them at the very end, right? She covers them. Well, I don't want to get married to you anymore. See you later, bye, and takes off. And so they take off with the diamond, and I guess sell it and pay the employees or whatever. So, funny movie. Um, that's a good movie for older people, that are retiring or want to retire, blah blah blah. For senior citizens, right? Senior citizens want to steal in a diamond worth millions, and they're just not cut out to do that stuff, but they did anyhow, right? The Grand Seduction, it came out in 2013, with Brendan Gleeson and Taylor Kitsch. Um, you know, whoever wrote that did a halfway decent job of writing it, but and if maybe they used better actors, they could have done better. But I don't know that it could have done better than a 1.5. The plot uh, of the movie was weak and lame. This island, I think in Ireland, I don't remember where I want to say Ireland, but it's this island. These people are they want to get a company up and going, to so an assembly company, so they can have jobs to live and work at, because they're all desperate and they're running out of money and all this stuff. So anyhow, but they need to get a doctor to live there for the process. Otherwise, they won't be funded for this job for this company. So anyhow, they find this guy, which was a cheesy way of even getting him there, and they get him there, and he sticks around and does some appointments, and in the meantime he has a girlfriend, I think in New York or whatever, and they're not getting along, and I don't know, and in the meantime the operator, which is an old fashioned system, right? They're listening in on this conversation, and there's some funny stuff in there, but at the very end he breaks up with the girlfriend and ends up staying there, and I don't know, I can't remember the ending, but I think the ending was just a cheesy ending as well. So that's besides the point. Um, and if it had was any worse, much worse, if any, that could have been easily a one thumb up movie, but that's that one. They had some nice scenery in there too, so that would be a good movie to watch on the big screen. Um, Good Deeds, Good Deeds. Oh, this is a Tyler Perry movie. Came out in 2012 with Tyler Perry, Tandy Newton, Jordan Thompson, Gabrielle Union, Eddie Cibrian, excuse me, Brian White, Felicia Rashad, and Rebecca Ramajan. Um, it's a feel good movie. If it was a real life situation, half that stuff probably would never happen, or never happen in the way that it happened in the movie. Um, Tyler Perry is this tycoon, or this big entrepreneur. Runs his company, and with his brother, and his brother is a real schmuck, and a drunk or addict or whatever. And so anyhow, he ends up he ends up hooking up with Tandy Newton, who's the maid, one of the maids there that works there at the or the custodians, I should say, that works there, and she ends up losing her place, and her and her little girl end up homeless and living in the car, and so Tyler Perry figures this out and gives them a place to stay, and in the meantime, Tyler Perry is engaged to I think Gabrielle Union, I want to say, but one of the women, some woman, and you know, he's thinking, well, everything's perfect, but then this Tandy Newton custodian is making him realize that he's not happy, he's not doing everything that he wants to be doing. So anyhow, somehow that comes across, and he realizes that, and so I he turns over the company to the brother, or I think it was to somebody else, but that gets along really well with the brother, or whatever. Anyhow, he at the very end he ends up with Tandy Newton, and they take off to some island or whatever, some road trip, some plane trip, and live a happily ever after, whatever. So again, feel good movie. If it was any worse, it would have been a one thumb up movie. Um, Safe. Oh, this is with what's his name? 2011. with Jason Statham, Catherine Chan, James Hong, Robert John Burke, and Chris Sarandon. Um, a high energy, intense movie, lots of fighting in it. And this little girl, 12-year-old girl, has a photographic memory, right? And she can remember. So I think it was the Chinese, send her to China to work for them right away because she can memorize all these figures, right? And so she can help them with their books or whatever. So anyhow, the she ends up somehow they I don't know, she ends up somehow getting away from these guys, and Jason Stratham finds her and just saying, "Hey, are you okay?" And she's going, uh, blah blah blah, and so he ends up being her father, big brother, whatever, and takes care of her, and ends up beating up all these guys. Because now not only are the Chinese people or the Asian people, whoever, uh, looking for the Russian people are looking for her. We'll come to find out that she has some numbers memorized that lead to a code or the to some safe. I don't know if it's in California or whatever, but some safe that has all this money and all this stuff, and that's what these Asian people or whatever want to get to, right? So that's where all the conflicts going on. So anyhow, Jason protects her and keeps her safe, and all these and oh, some of these guys are, I believe, I remember, if I remember right, are are involved with the police. They're police officers, and they're trying to find her, right? So anyhow, he at the very end he ends up killing a whole bunch of people, and they get caught, and they end up getting arrested, all this stuff, blah blah blah. So very intense movie though. Margin call. Hang on a second. Time out. Margin call. Oh, Kevin Space. This came out in 2011, based on a true. Based on a true story. Kevin Spacey, Jeremy Irons, Demi Moore, Stanley Tucci, Asif Manvi, um, Simon Baker, Paul Bettany, Zachary Quinto, and Penn Bagdley. Um, this has to do with the stock market crashing in 2008, I believe. I'm almost sure of it. So anyhow, this company, um, they're making all this money, and one of the new guys, but at the very beginning they're downsizing, so they lay off or fire a bunch of people at the very beginning, and Stanley Tucci being one of them, and he at the very beginning he gives this flash drive to one of the new guys that's working for the company that doesn't get fired. He goes, "Here, I was doing this research on this, blah blah blah. See if you can figure this out, but be careful, right?" So he does. Goes and starts investigating all this accounting stuff or whatever, and then he does. He figures out there's some kind of glitch and something going on. Something's getting ready to happen, and they're getting ready to lose all this money. Blah blah blah. So all the company gets together like overnight, and they're on a weekend, Saturday night or whatever. So they get together, and they end up taking their stock on the next Monday when the stock market's up and going. They sell everything they can as fast as possible, and then sure enough, the stock market crashes right afterwards. So I believe, from what they were saying, that the company ended up making a lot of money on that whole deal, and just in time right before the stock market crash. So, uh, pretty interesting movie. Um, it, it was kind of hard to follow a movie on that level in the stock market, with not actually seeing numbers, and or maybe not seeing stuff more, because they didn't really. I don't think they really showed the accounting numbers for everything that was going on. Um, so it was kind of hard to follow along. But it was, they talked about some of the stuff, and it was kind of interesting. Gamer with Jared Butler, Amber Valletta, again, Michael C. Hall, Terry Crews, John Leguizamo, Kira Zegwick, and Allison Loham. Came out in 2009. Now, this is an interesting movie because I've heard time travelers talk about this, that in the future they're going to have uh, what you got, because they have G5 networking, and they're going to have a G6 networking in the future. And so what they're saying is that when that happens, it's going to take the internet to a whole different level, and it's supposedly you're going to be able to plug in from the back of the head and know everything that's on the internet. Everything that's on the internet, you're going to be able to download into your brain and be instantly educated. Like it's like that, right? So with this movie, apparently the gaming is at a different level, a whole new level. The gamers are still operating the systems from the computers at home, whatever, but the actual characters, or the the figures in the games are people, actual people. So it makes it makes me want to question: is that why, and is that how? Because they're plugged into the internet, and now they can move around these people at will and make them do whatever they want at will through their computers at home. So it makes me wonder if that's what they're referring to. I don't know. So it's so anyhow, Gerard Butler, and apparently they have this game. They're playing this game. Everybody, the whole world seen, and if one of the gamer, or the game, the characters ends up killing or winning all these different levels, like 20 levels or something like that, then they get they get, and these guys are all prisoners, right? They're in prison for murder or whatever else, and they can either participate in the game and possibly get killed, or probably get killed, or not, and then they keep serving their time. But in the meantime, if they win, they supposedly get cut loose. But that's a line of shit, because the people that are the company that's manning the whole operation is not letting anybody win. So nobody actually gets set free until Gerard comes along, right? His character. So anyhow, he's got one more game, and supposedly it, he tells the guy that's his puppeteer, I think is a good word. He tells him, well, don't try to control me out. Just let me do what I got to do. So he goes, okay. So he goes and takes off, and he ends up taking off out of the boundaries of the game, because the whole game is played within all these boundaries, right? So he ends up getting out of the boundaries and escaping, and then he goes and finds his wife. What's her name? What's her name? Was it Amber Valletta? And they end up. I can't remember what, but end up taking off or whatever. I don't remember. I don't even remember the end of that movie, because it's been a while since I think I watched that one on Redbox, but that's what's that. But a very intense movie though. Good Luck Chuck. Oh my God, this is a hilarious movie. Um, Good Luck Chuck with came out in 2007 with Dane Cook, Jessica Alba, Dan Fogler, and Lonnie Ross. Um, Hilarious movie, and supposedly Good Luck Chuck, or Dan Cook, or Dane Cook, has these magical powers. His character, right? And every time he has sex with a woman, she ends up finding her true love, and they end up getting married. So all of a sudden, all these women start flocking to find him, to have sex with him, so that they can find their true love, and and then he ends up hooking up with Jessica Alba, who ends up being one of those Murphy Law people that Every time she turns around, something happens. Some kind of accident happens or whatever. So anyhow, he ends up hooking up with her, and he's about to have sex with her, because they end up at her apartment, and the friend, his buddy calls, what's his name? No, Dan Flogler, yeah. His buddy calls and says, don't have sex with her, because if you do, she's gonna find somebody else to get married to. And he goes, oh, okay, that's enough. I'm gonna put this to a test. So he finds this big woman. Oh my God, I don't know where she was from, but this woman was, oh my God. I'm not even gonna say. I'm just gonna be nice, right? So he ends up finding this big woman, and he has sex with her. And sure enough, she ends up getting married. Oh my God. Oh, so then anyhow, he does get involved with Jessica Alba and has sex with her, and then he goes crazy because he thinks she's gonna find somebody else to marry, and so somehow they end up happily ever after. All right, fine. Husband for Hire. Oh my God, um, this was interesting. Definitely, there could have been some more work on the writing and probably the directing and maybe the acting. Husband for Hire came out 2007 with Mark Consuelos, Nadine Velasquez, Tempest Bledsoe, Eric Estrada, Mario Lopez, Jace Bartok, Aaron Ross, and Kate Muchiki, Musiki, Miss Misusi. I don't know how. Sorry if I mispronounced your last name, but anyhow, um, Husband for Hire. This woman, what's her name? Nadine Velasquez. She gets pissed off at her fiance, um, Mario Lopez, and she takes off and runs away, and she ends up meeting. She ends up. There's some kind of will that she has to be married in order for her to inherit $25 million or whatever, right? So she doesn't want to marry Mario Lopez anymore because he's a real asshole. He did something to her. So she goes to go hire a husband, right? And so finally she goes to one of those what you call it, the where there's a lineup at probably every big city has a lineup of all these Mexicans or whatever they're looking for jobs. So she goes to one of those places and one of those lineups and finds Mark Consuelos, I believe that's his name, and she goes, I want to hire you to be my husband. He's going, what? Are you crazy? And she's going, no, I'm willing to give you $1 million or whatever. He goes, well, in that case, I'm your husband. So anyhow, she takes him back to her dad, what's his name? Eric Estrada is her dad. She takes him back, and he has to convince her that they're in love and they want to get married. So it turns out he's also a musician. He's pretty good with playing guitar and singing. So anyhow, they go through all this mirage of stuff, back and forth, and Eric Estrada is going to Mario Lopez, and you need to win her back. You need to do whatever you can to win her back. And so anyhow, it all backfires, and she ends up hooking up with Mark Consuelos instead. So anyhow, her best move: Leah Pipes, Scott Patterson, Lisa Dar, Lalaine, Drew, Tyler Bell, and Joanna Flores. Um, Came out in 2016. Her best move. Oh my God, I don't even remember. It was so interesting. I don't even remember. Right? Time out. Dirty Winter. You know what? What? Where's the rest of them? And oh, Oh, come on. YouTube, you asshole. All right, let's see if I can find this. I have to wing it now. I had all this set up, so all I have to do is just go to the trailer, and it's there. Um, you idiot. What? Oh, hang on. Time out. Oh, yeah, yeah. This young girl. This is a good movie for um for um for young women to watch, in their teens. You know, female teenagers, and your moms and dads. This is a good movie for y'all to watch because this girl is she's played soccer all her life, right? And her dad's been wanting her to be this famous soccer player, you know, because he used to be a soccer player. Blah blah blah. So anyhow, she ends up um, she ends up applying for the national soccer team or something like that, and or international, and she ends up not getting accepted, right? So so she's going to, well, her friend, her best friend, she goes, well, good, now you can come out and play with us and spend some time with us. And she goes, yeah. So they go out and do dancing and dance lessons, or they're going to be in some kind of dance or something like that. And I can't remember. There was some other stuff they were doing, you know, focusing on homework and all that stuff. So anyhow, somewhere a little bit further down the road, come to find out that they lost a player, and so they're still looking for another one. So her dad goes, well, now you got to train. So we got to get you trained. And she goes, okay. And then in the meantime, she follows up. She hooks up with this photographer, right? He's like taking all these photographs, and he really likes her, and she decides she likes him. So anyhow, they they get hooked up and take all these pictures, blah blah blah. And then in the meantime, the team, their high school soccer team ends up going to state finals, I think, or something like that. So the people from the international team are there, you know, end up there to watch the games to see if they want to bring you in as one of the team members. And in the meantime, there's another local, another teammate who's from Brazil, I think, or something like that. She's vying for the same position as well. So at the very end, um, and the person that will get the position is the one that makes the most score, wins, has the most goals. So at the very end, she kicks the ball to her friend from Brazil, and her friend from Brazil uh, kicks in a goal, and they end up winning the game. So anyhow, but the moral of the story was that she's happy where she's at. She don't care if she goes on this journey of an international soccer team. She was happy where she was at. Period. So anyhow, and they live happily ever after, right? So the holiday. Oh my God, this was a funny one. If you want to watch a good romantic movie with your partner, this is one of them that you want to watch. It came out in 2006. Cameron Diaz, Kate Winslet, Jude Law, Jack Black, Elia, or Ellie Wallach, Rufus Sewell, Catherine Hahn, John Krasinski, James Franco, Dustin Hoffman, and Lindsay Lohan. Oh, really? So anyhow, the Cameron Diaz owns this company, right? And and her and her fiance break up somehow, and the fiance ends up finding somebody else, and he's gonna get married, and um, let me see. Well, I take it back. That Kate Winslet is in England, I believe, and she's the one that has a fiance, and they break up, and then he finds another woman he's gonna marry, and then there's some kind of project. She's a writer or something that he wants her to do for him, and she's going, oh my god, can't I just get away from this guy? So anyhow, in the meantime, and Cameron Diaz's character, she owns this company, and her boyfriend ends up cheating on her, and so he finally admits it at the very beginning. She just belts him one, right, knocks him out, right. So anyhow, she goes, I got to get out of here for the Christmas holidays. So there's some kind of program where you can swap lifestyles and houses and everything, and all you do is just show up, right, and you just swap lifestyles. So anyhow, they trade houses, and Kate Winslet is living in this little cottage in England, I believe, and Cameron Diaz lives in this big house with pool and everything. So they swap houses, and Kate Winslet ends up hooking up with Jack Black, and then Cameron Diaz's character ends up hooking up with Jude Law, who's the brother of Kate Winslet's character, right? So anyhow, just some really funny stuff. Oh my god, lots of romance, and just some intrigue, I guess, is a good word to use for that. But funny movie. Kiss Me Again with Catherine Winnick, Jeremy London, Elisa Donovan, Merle Taylor, and Daryl Hammond. Came out in 2006. Now, this was a hard movie to find. I can't remember where I found it, either on Amazon or Netflix. I'm not sure. But yeah, you can't even find a trailer on that movie. And I was able to watch the whole movie somehow. But anyhow, came out in 2006. Now, especially if you're an middle-aged couple or person, and that wants to explore with threesomes, this is a good movie to watch, because that's what this is all about. The Catherine Winnick and Jeremy London are a couple, and he's a professor at this college, and Elisa Donovan, I believe is her name. She's one of his students, and she's got the hots for him, right? And he's having a hard time cooling himself down, because he's got the hots for her too. So anyhow, they end up kissing, and then the roommate, they have a roommate, Marilee Taylor, I think is her name. I don't remember if that's correct or not, but anyhow, the roommate, whoever the roommate is, ends up catching him. She's a photographer, and she photographs them kissing, right? So of course, she's a vindictive bitch, like a lot of women are. She ends up selling him, telling her, Catherine Winnick, and showing her the photographs at the very end, right? And in the meantime, the roommate. In the meantime, the roommate talks him into doing a threesome, because she's bisexual, right? So she ends up with some woman in the place, in the apartment, and so she ends up talking them into doing a threesome. So they put an ad in Craigslist or wherever else, and the husband, what's his name, Jeremy London, tells the student about this, and he tells her, well, apply for this ad, and so we can have a threesome. So anyhow, they end up choosing her, and they do end up with threesome. Well, it backfires, because all of a sudden Catherine Winnick and the student end up hooking up again with each other, without Jeremy London, right? So anyhow, I think Catherine Winnick ends up falling in love with Elisa Donovan, and so anyhow, they don't tell Jeremy London about them hooking up, and so when Catherine Winnick sees the photos of them kissing, it she doesn't have room to talk. So anyhow, they end up getting separating, and she goes to her sister's house or whatever, and then they end up getting hooked up again. Oh, I think she ended up with the student at the student's house, staying there. So anyhow, he goes over there, and they end up hooking up again at the end, right? And they kick out the roommate, man. So, but that's I don't know if she moved out on her own or not, but eventually I think they ended up kicking her out after all because she was being a real shithead. Music from Another Room. Now this was a really good movie for Jude Law and Gretchen Mol. It came out in 1998. Older movie um, with Jude Law, Gretchen Mol, Jennifer Tilly, Martha Plimpton, Brenda Blethyn, John Tenney, Jeremy Piven, Jane Addams, and Vincent Laresca. Um, this could have easily been a two thumb up movie, but there was some really stupid stuff. Like at the beginning, um, Jude Law's character is a kid, and he ends up helping some because the dad. There's a woman that's pregnant. I think it's a neighbor or something, and the dad tries to help her have the pregnancy, but it's breached. The umbilical cord is wrapped around the neck, so he can't reach in and take that umbilical cord out and fix it, so she can have the baby. So he tells the kid, I think 10-year-old kid or whatever, how to do it, what to do, and this kid is just gonna go in there. He's a doctor right there on the spot, right? Whatever. So anyhow, he she he helps her. He helps Gretchen Mol character to be born, and he says, "Oh, I'm going to marry you. I love you," or whatever. Blah blah. So 25 years later, they end up meeting again. I think in the same house. And anyhow, he um, he hooks up with her and talks to her, and she's in the meantime she's engaged to this other tycoon or whatever entrepreneur that's really rich, and somehow they end up hooking up, and she tells him to bite me, right, and she ends up with Jude Law after all. So interesting movie, a very playful movie, maybe is what I want to say, but anyhow, interesting movie. Now the rest of the movies, Home Sweet Home, they're all one thumb up movies. Home Sweet Home, this girl that runs into this guy and ends up becoming a Christian, blah blah blah. 10E, this I think I don't want to say Iranian, but I think it was a Middle Eastern family. This father and the daughter, and he wants to try to help her through. She's 17 years old. And he wants to help her so she can transition into college or whatever. But it was cheesy. I don't think I even finished watching either of those two movies because they were so lame. And then The Take, the Take. Hang on, The Take. Idris Elba, Richard Madden, Charlotte LeBon, and then Kelly Riley. Came out in 2016. Why can't I remember about this? Time out. Because it was such a lame movie, I didn't even want to. Oh, now I remember. Idris Elba is a CIA guy, and this Richard Madden is a really good pickpocket. He's a pickpocket artist, right? Say that 10 times fast, right? So anyhow, he ends up, I don't know, they end up together because Laban is gonna blow up she's involved with some kind of terrorist group, and she has a bomb to blow up the city with, and what's his name? Richard Madden goes and steals the bomb and throws it away. some trash can, and ends up blowing up some kind of something else. So they think he's a terrorist guy instead. So Idris finds him, and they end up looking for, figuring it all out, and they come to find out. I don't know if it's a Russian mob or whatever, but they find them, and they end up killing some of them or all of them. Oh, this is the one where the cops are part of the mob, and so anyhow they end up killing all these people, and these guys get arrested in the end. Blah blah blah. So again, it was just lame. It could have been a whole lot better. Paycheck. Now this movie is with came out in 2003 with Ben Affleck, Uma Thurman, Aaron Eckhart, Paul Giamatti, Colm Fiore, and Joe Morton. This is like a new age type of movie where it's based in the future where this guy Ben Affleck is known to go in and reverse engineer different projects, different things, and so that companies can figure out how they work, so they can rebuild them or redo them or make them the product themselves, so they can sell them for themselves. So anyhow, they drug Ben Affleck. This company says, "Well, we got a new thing that we want you to try out," and apparently they drug him, and all of a sudden he's right back. He's all of a sudden awake again, and apparently they it's supposed to be 3 years down the road, and in that time frame I think he kills does some kind of crime, blah blah blah. So now he's running from these people, and with Uma Thurman, because he gets involved with Uma Thurman in the process, and so again it was just a cheesy movie. Maybe you might like it, but I would never watch that movie again, not even for a second. So, anyhow, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. If you have any questions or you have any recommendations, any movies that you'd like me to watch or whatever, get a hold of me, text me, call me, email me, Facebook me, instant message me, IG me, whatever works, right? So anyhow, all my information is on my website, spiritualimensproductions.com, spiritualimensproductions.com. Have a God-Goddess weekend. Be the love that you are, always have been, always will be. Aloha.